I just got back from watching Spider-Man Brand New Day. I watched it in 3D, front row, right in the very middle. It was a very good movie. Even saw it in 3D. As far as the thumbnail for this video, I guess we asked the age-old question. Can you be an angel and catboy at the same time? Apparently, yes, that is a thing that can exist. Though I seem to be more of a tiger than a house cat, Neko. And am I on fire? I mean, it doesn't hurt, and it's not dangerous to me or anyone or anything else. Kind of makes me think of the whole Phoenix sort of thing. But anyway, we're going to read some poetry. But yeah, I watched the Spider-Man movie. They even gave you this little pin that you can clip on things if you want. So that's cool. Roofers. A poem by Fleda, or is it Fleda Brown? I don't know. It's Fleda. 5 roofers are wedging off the old, scraping it over the edge. Great black birds diving in front of the window. In another place, a nail gun goes off in patterns of 4, sometimes 5. They're nice guys. One has a funny beard that sticks straight out. One has a lip ring. One is pounding, testing for rot. One is flipping the sections of shingles down. I hear them slap like clowns' feet. Something out of Shakespeare. These guys know what they're doing, and they do it. Great rolls of thunder. The roof of heaven cluttered with gods. Homer's, Titius, Leto, Tantalus, the ones who work the obscure jobs, who come when called, the ones before Milton's great voiced dignitary, before Hopkins' rod-bearer, the ones from the old days, from my old days, when over my head there was music in the air, the pitch of my church camp voice raised out of the heat, and the breeze and the sun on the spillway rocks, all of it holding me in as if I were in a shadow box, the kind where someone looks through a peephole and everything is 3D. So the eye is like the important God. I am filled. With tenderness for the little world I had going on inside, my grief that it was not the world. From the Georgia Review. The Book of Steve. Catherine Carter. God made Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. But what if God did? What if I showed you the lost book in the cramped hand some call Moses? Right to left you read Hebrew, right? The Book of Stefan, if you're Orthodox, Esteban, if you also worship the Virgin of Guadalupe. But never mind those dark Madonnas. The Book of Steve, it's much like the rest of the Pentateuch. You'll recognize the style, except that it was before Genesis 1, when Steve became a living soul, a lively, fire-friendly soul. When those animals came questing, Steve was thrilled. He scratched their ears as he named them, pulled their ticks, asked them what they thought they should be called. So he was scratching and chatting, naming away, when up came Adam. Yahweh had been practicing men. Hey dude, hey Adam, you think this looks like a crocodile? I don't know, more like a fox. They had a few beers, Yahweh's work of the day. Named 5 kinds of ants. Steve's got carpenter, leafcutter, sugar. Adam took fire and soldier. Probably they made love, probably a lot. The world was youngin', but the Book of Steve is demure. Moses or someone drew the curtain of discretion. When the curtain comes up, the snake still has brief feet, but Adam is changing the names to better one. And Steve's not there. It seems there were complaints. Steve talked too much, always on. about feelings, food, the slant of the light. Sometimes he wanted to be on top. He took the remote and didn't give it back when Adam glared, and his chest wasn't nearly enough like a pillow. It was all too much. The end of the book is torn out. There are marks of fire. No one knows who defiled the Book of Steve, but in some stories it is said that Eden has other quadrants and that Steve is in one of them. Steve and the snakes with feet, and other people who missed the next book. The rock preening its iridescent plumes, the unicorn lipping apples, the manticore having a dust bath. They say that somewhere among the leaves of Western Eden was found a helpmeet for Steve, who was not fruitful, who did not multiply, who had no dominion over the earth. From the Asheville Poetry Review. From the boy's own book, a complete encyclopedia of all diversions, athletic, scientific, and recreative of boyhood and youth, by William Clark. Written by Suzanne Clearly. William Clark would have us believe time rests lightly on the boy of 1829, light as a penny placed atop the hand. The hand pulled suddenly out and turned so as to catch the penny before it hit the ground, a trick with nearly endless variations. Penny placed on the forehead, the elbow, the knee, etc. Gravity is a game to the boy of 1829, even as he learns to chop wood to shoot birds out of the sky. The weight of his own body may provide him hours of delight, as in jumping over a trench, vaulting over a wooden horse, or performing what William Clark names the deep leap, wherein the boy stands on a flight of stairs, jumps clear to the floor. Clark adds, we do not, however, much approve of this exercise. In his 300-page compendium, this comment a rare appearance of Clark's own voice, such that from this point forward one boy understands Clark's silence as a tacit approval of the tricks involving fire or knives or even glass, which is dear and likely to shatter. If instructions are not followed precisely, this boy, most likely a bookworm interested in card tricks, arithmetical dazzlers, the thick chapter riddles and puns wherein words shift shape, like smoke relighting the candle. This is the boy who will grow to be the tallest man in the country, while his daredevil brother, come spring, will take the fever and die. Why is a pack of cards like a garden? Why is sealing wax like a soldier? Why is a man like a burning candle? What is the weight of the moon? From Margie, the American Journal of Poetry. The Great American Poem by Billy Collins. If this were a novel, it would begin with a character, a man alone on a southbound train, or a young girl on a swing by a farmhouse, and as the pages turned, you would be told that it was morning or the dead of night, and I, the narrator, would describe for you the miscellaneous clouds over the farmhouse, and what the man was wearing on the train, right down to his red tartan scarf, and the hattie and the hat he tossed onto the rack above his head, as well as the cows sliding past his window. Eventually, one can only read so fast. You would learn either that the train was bearing the man back to the place of his birth, or that he was headed into the vast unknown. You might just tolerate all of this as you waited patiently for shots to ring out in a ravine where the man was hiding, or for a tall, raven-haired woman to appear in a doorway. But this is a poem, not a novel. And the only characters here are you and I, alone in an imaginary room, which will disappear after a few more lines. Leaving us no time to point guns at one another, or toss all our clothes into a roaring fireplace. I ask you, who needs the man on the train? And who cares what his black valise contains? We have something better than all this turbulence, lurching toward some ruinous conclusion. I mean, the sound that we will hear as soon as I stop writing and put down this pen. I once heard someone compare it to the sound of crickets in a field of wheat, or, more faintly, just the wind over the field, stirring things that we will never see. From the Virginia Quarterly Review. The Song of America by Rob Cook. I'm raising my child to become the end of rotting, and to expose the lushness of the cemetery moth. I'm raising my child to know the difference between the two sunsets, one purple with thermonuclear iodine, and the other the charred insides of rain. I'm raising my child to find the stones his brothers fed each other. I'm raising my child to fall behind the apricot blossoms, and to trust only others who have fallen behind. I'm raising my child to listen. There is so much noise. Only silence will be remembered. I'm raising my child to fill in the spaces between wars and the spaces between people, where everything grows, even after the last space is gone. I'm raising my child to bring into the world books that suffer, with words detention kids make over and over. I'm raising my child to follow the scatter of flesh across the sky, birds and their wing print trails to Alaska. I'm raising my child to predict the sickness left of summer by the number of shadows he sweats. I'm raising my child to plant pennies where he'll find rest and good finger paint for one night. I'm raising my child to chop down the televisions of peasants and their machine that picks thunderstorms from a leaf. I'm raising my child to write a treaty for his own smells, the ones that hurt the self and the ones that hurt others. And a treaty for the poison sumac, whose only emotion is hunger. I'm raising my child to dress like a long line of near humans if he wants to be recognized, and to show kindness to the roadkill that sneaks into his bed. I'm raising my child to know which part of a hamburger is still afraid. I'm raising my child to be captain of the abandoned mail trucks and to lead the grasses across the Midwestern sleep. I'm raising my child to leave New York. I'm raising my child to add letters and numbers to his name, and chameleons and hellbenders behind his name. I'm raising my child to drown and to drop dead and to carry buildings on his back. I'm raising my child to listen to his face breaking when it's cold. I'm raising my child to seduce only photographs of women. I'm raising my child to know that cobras that shiver in the sky at night are mistakes and not responsible for us. I'm raising my child to leave bread for the voices that come after dark. I'm raising my child to keep his eyes closed. I'm raising my child to tell the truth by having no sound at all. From Fence. Freud by James Cummins. Come to think of it, I never speak of Mom. Much now, though I go on and on about Dad. My generation's given Mom a beating. I think there's no son who hasn't got his gun out for the old deer. The deer in the headlights. Think it could be like Freud. Speaking of beatings, who's taken more than Freud lately? From the belly of the beast, not Mom's, stands the kike against the wall. I'm the headlights. But why beat Freud instead of dear old Dad? Dad's the one who's always pulling out his gun, longing to give someone a Christian beating. Freud got a few things wrong. What's worth it? That's worth a beating. Let's whack some Christians instead of poor Freud. It's clear they understood about the gun, but what about the cave? No, not Mom's. And let's not even go there about Dad's. Their zeitgeist is a scramble towards headlights, figures projected on a wall by headlights. Then, once there, instituting someone's beating. How do you break it to your life? Your real-life Dad, that 20 centuries of this schadenfreude are too much, that this smokescreen called Mom just hides the cave of God, our Daddy's gun. They co-opt Jesus into their hired gun, that rabble-rousing Jewish kid with head lice, then claim he cut this strange deal with his mom, and he'll return to give the sons a beating. No wonder we're devouring poor old Freud will swallow any tale revealed by Dad. I can sell you anything. My own Dad points his shaking finger like a gun at me. He wonders who the hell is Freud. He winks and elbows me about headlights. His diaper leaks, his pride takes a beating. I shoo him off to Florida with Mom. America, a graveyard, a Mom and Dad beating. Whistle past, switch on your headlights. A gun can be a gun, even for Freud. From the Antioch Review, Apparition, favorite poem by Mark Doughty. The old words are dying. Everyone forgets them. Pages falling into sleep and dust. Burning so slowly. You wouldn't even know there's a fire. Or that's what I think half the time. But then at the bookstore, a young man reciting, slight for 14, blonde without irony, but not self-important either. His loping East Texas vowels threaten to escape the fence of pentameter. His voice seems to have just arrived here, but the old cadence inhabits anyway. He makes the poem his own, even as he becomes a vessel for its reluctance to disappear. All right, maybe they perish, but the boy has the look of someone repeating a crucial instruction that must be delivered, word for word, as he has learned it. My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. From 5 Points. How It Will End by Denise Duhamel. We're walking on the boardwalk, but stop when we see a lifeguard and his girlfriend. fighting. We can't hear what they're saying, but it is as good as a movie. We sit on a bench to find out how it will end. I can tell by her body language he's done something really bad. She stands at the bottom of the ramp that leads to his hut. He tries to walk halfway down to meet her, but she keeps signaling, "Don't come closer." My husband says, "Boy, he's sure in for it." And I say he deserved whatever's coming to him. My husband thinks the lifeguards cheated, but I think she's sick of him only working part-time, or maybe he forgot to put the rent in the mail. The lifeguard tries to reach out, and she holds her hand like Diana Ross when she performed "Stop in the Name of Love." The red flag that slaps against his station means strong currents. She has to just get it out of her system. My husband laughs, but I'm not laughing. I start to coach the girl to leave the no-good lifeguard, but my husband predicts she'll never leave. I'm angry at him for seeing glee in their situation and say, "That's your problem. You think every fight is funny. You never take her seriously." And he says, "You never even give the guy a chance, and you're always nagging. So how can he tell the real issues from the nitpicking?" And I say, "She doesn't nitpick." And he says, "Oh, really? Maybe he should start recording her tirades." And I say, "Maybe he should help out more." And he says, "Maybe she should be more supportive." And I say, "Do you mean supportive or do you mean support him?" And my husband says that he's doing the best he can, that he's a lifeguard for Christ's sake. And I say that her job is much harder, that she's a waitress who works nights carrying heavy trays and is hit on all the time by creepy tourists. And he just sits there most days napping and listening to Power 96. And then, he gets to be the big hero, blowing his whistle and running into the water to save beach bunnies who flatter him. And my husband says it's not as though she's Miss Innocence. And what about the way she flirts, giving free refills when her boss isn't looking, or cutting extra large pieces of pie to get bigger tips? Oh no, she wouldn't do that because she's a saint and he's the devil. And I say, "I don't know why you can't just admit he's a jerk." And my husband says, "I don't know why you can't just admit she's a killjoy." And then out of the blue, the couple is making up. The red flag flutters, then hangs limp. She has her arms around his neck and is crying into his shoulder. He whisks her up into his hut. We look around, but no one is watching us. From Barrow Street. Getting Serious by Alice Freeman. Today, I started looking for my soul. Yesterday it was my keys. Last week my brain, which I couldn't find. It being out looking for me. Now that I'm getting so old. First I thought my soul would have gone back to Greece, where she grew so tall and straight. She thought she was a column, or back to camp, being forever 12 and underdeveloped, perhaps being careless. I left her during the 70s in bed with God knows whom. Or could be, I buried her with my mother, my head not being right. But that was my heart. So I went to where I know. I saw her last. Radio City Music Hall. I'm 6, my feet barely brushing the floor, and the Rockettes start shuffling out, long-legged and perfect as paper dolls kicking up down in a wave. One body with 72 knees, chugging like pistons, going back in a forever mirror. Same as in Coney Island's funhouse run Mama's can of Dutch cleanser, and my heart flexed in me. A sail. And I swear I saw it flying out of my chest, spiriting away my giddy soul, ears plugged and tied to the mast. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. From Plowshares. Black Snake by Margaret Gibson. 1. When, in the darkened room, I hear a clatter from the mantle of the central chimney with its many chinks, and turn to see why a plate has leapt to the floor on its own, I freeze. A sleek, thick ribbon of snake slides like rain over the rough stones of the chimney and into an opening I swear is no wider than the eye of my wedding ring. And I understand Persephone at a standstill just before she swallows the single seed on her complicit tongue, and Orpheus as he turns and stares into the retreating pour of the dark mist. I have seen a black snake loop from an oak limb, as cursive in the air as a Chinese acrobat. I've watched one meditate in the shade of the blue mist bush, the thick lump in its long throat slowly shrinking. And in a corner of the summer attic I've held in my hands a snakeskin torn at both ends, rumpled at the head where it split in the snake. Tugged free. What is a snake? That it casts off such transparent trappings. What is this skin in which I find a nature that's empty, not unlike my own? 2. Were I a loose swirl, a black water ripple, one continuous long throat, what would be? The song I'd inscribe on stone, on ground, on grass. No beginning to it, no end. Snake comes through winter, its tail in its mouth, and a coil of song issues from the deepest trance of its body. I am not what I was in the cold and the dark, neither the joy before grief nor the joy after, only the inflected spark at the base of the spine, half-conscious spark, indifferent spasm, the spill of night into flesh gone nameless, sliding and flowing into nothing as real as this pounding of the heart. From the Georgia Review. First time reading Freud by Douglas Gooch. My copy of his introductory lectures had an odor I couldn't place. An organic, vaguely fleshy, pulpy, baby wipes type smell? Though not exactly. At 18, I was having some trouble concentrating, though the words, according to theory, were processing themselves in my unconscious, while I kept track of girls in miniskirts wafting in and out of All-In Library. Like wide-winged tropical birds, I'd glance down at Freud's bleak head floating on the cover, half in stark shadow, monocle in place, and gaze across the room at a Korean beauty whose virtually flat face had gotten her some modeling jobs and covers of her own. She promised her mother she'd wear pantyhose every day to help keep out the boys, as if we'd get inside by accident. I put my nose to Freud, bent the spine back, deeper to smell. An infant's soft, moist head, a mother's breast dusted with talc. I learned about the promise to her mother when I pointed to new packages of hose, stacked tall in a chair by her bed. I don't know how I got into her room, or how Freud's language crept into my head. Superego, pleasure principle, displacement, latent and manifest. And all that ugly Oedipus business, babies with sex and murder on the brain. Little Viennese girls hardwired to admire their first glimpse of something extra. And yet, why hadn't I touched mine till I was 16? And why did our professor have to tell us about the woman he saw at Woodstock lifting her naked baby to manipulate? I'm not reading that. That's... what the fuck? From the New York Quarterly. Next poem, Zones, by Albert Goldbarth. There are boot prints on the moon, as permanent as airlessness provides for. She's seen photographic proof. Their tread, an orderly, distinctly human grid left in the dust, and yet she can't influence Chino's heart just 1 inch on the other side of his sternum, and she thumps as if to prove it, the chest of her obdurate 16-year-old son, his drugs, his whores, his whatnot, while he stares at her through the mask of a face, then turns away to do something more important. Later I leave too. I drive back home. 11 city blocks is 1,000,000 miles away. Who knows and who knows? And whoever knows a delivery girl at the airport with a box, hen carry only human eyes, and yawning as if she holds a baggie of burgers, who believes, at this late date, that any politician's face betrays a single clue of emotion anymore than gold face plates of ancient Cretan sea kings in a museum case, The light comes down as probing as it is in a police interrogation room. The light comes down as tossed, as unreliable as it is in a storm-shook linden tree. Spectroscopy. We know more now about the composition of stars than, say, what constitutes an act of love in the house across the street. From Shenandoah? The Fullness Thereof by Barbara Goldberg. The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof, the world and they that dwell therein. Psalm 24. I. In the beginning, a riot of color, burnt umber, magenta, madder red, vast expanses of indigo. There was thunder in the absence of thunder. There was heat, earth shifting, hills swelling, ridges rising. Then came the fingerlings, the frogs, the dark-eyed juncos, possum and hawk and fox. There were buffalo mountain lions. There were slender legs of spiders and dragonflies, mosquitoes trapped on salmon-colored salamanders' flickering tongues, black bears lumbering through the underbrush, speckled eggs, beavers, fire ants, night crawlers wriggling below, crows cawing above. There was earth and the fullness thereof. I. We forded the river, the one named Euphrates. The highest mountain we called it Mount George. The one we crossed over, Mount Spotswood. We numbered the trout and the catfish, the brooks they swam in. We tracked all species of fowl. We blazed trails in the forest and left distinguishing marks. The winnowing down of the daylight, that was good. Once 2 geese swooped in. He swam up and down the pond, fixing his amber eye on me. She tucked her head beneath one wing. Stars were our faithful companions, and we drank to their health, as we did to the king and the rest of the royal family. In this way, we cleared the path to today. I. It's hard to think of home without the hawthorn and the scat of deer and mole. It's hard to think of fall without the sight of scurrying squirrels packing nuts into their cheeks, fearing humans less than winter. It's hard to think of me without my hound heaven's staunchest ally. It's hard to live on this land without hearing sounds of all sorts of creatures, all digging out towards light or burrowing within, breathing deeply of the darkening night. To love a place is to love where you are. To know it is beyond compare. The air, the scent, it might as well be skin, is to touch, be touched by everything in the surround, to feel it one yet fully other in this diverse dominion. From the Gettysburg Review. Definition of terms. Michael J. Grabble. Maybe it's because my mother met my father through some kosher butcher. Kosher meaning conforming to stubbornness. Butcher meaning to walk through life with bloody hands, and me, the bread of this affliction, leavened with the yeast of insistent immigrant ancestors. Maybe it's because the night before their wedding, the cracked fortune cookie warned you are doomed to be happy in marriage. Doomed meaning inevitable guilt. Happy meaning one who is blind to missed opportunity, the zest of an orange slice eaten from the rind. Maybe it's because my mother grew up in Weehawken, New Jersey, land of Lincoln Tunnel and of Aaron Burr's duel. We, from the Austro-Hungarian meaning trust no one. Hawken from the Lenny Lenne meaning to clear one's throat before saying nothing important. Maybe it's because my father had a weak will and a weaker liver, always flirted with the waitress. I'll take a slow, comfortable screw. Slow, meaning that which is derived from the wild plum. Comfort, meaning the satisfaction of longing and the way the juice hides the hardness of vodka. Whatever it is, you won't understand when I say our love is like a hammer and sickle. You will look at me with the eyes of your Irish ancestors while we grind each day into protective touch of cheek at night. You will scrub the foundation powder from your face, but will never get rid of the burden that falls in the lines of your skin. The Southwest Review. Eve in the Fall by Deborah Grieger. Summer torn down petal by petal. Had the father of storms spent himself at last? An avalanche of stony silence fell, and then my eyelids fluttered open as they had that first morning. I saw you beside me, strangest of creatures, the one most like me, but this time you were old. When I looked closer, I saw myself in your eyes, a fallen leaf starting to curl. I heard a rustling, insistent. A tree trying to shake off the past, or a river feeling its way past a wall. Today some vast body of tears it hadn't known existed down the street. Trucks trundled their dark goods into eternity, one red light after another. Though it was morning, street lamps trudged down the sidewalk like husbands yawning on the way to work. On puddles, on rags of clouds, they spilled their weak human light. With shadow my cup overflowed from the new Criterion. The Record, Jennifer Grotz. Kisses, too, tasted of iron. The year we lived in twilights. They tilted warily. like bags of groceries I'd carry up the stairs. To find you in boxers, the smell of coffee mixed with vinegar. From the bowl of pickle juice you soaked your fingers in, trying to hurry the calluses. We trafficked in the grief of incompatible day and night. We stretched the hours as best we could, but mostly we practiced a kind of starving, excruciating to recall how hard we tried. I'd unpack the groceries and tell you about the day, and after dinner you'd pick out a tune on the guitar. It was the year you apprenticed to the blues. Before each night shift in uniform and socks, you'd climb into bed and hold me until I fell asleep. Then you would slip quietly out, and when I dreamed I glimpsed the gods in you. I dreamt you were Hephaestus with the iron forge. The sweat covering you when you jogged home was holy. It was the sweat of the whole city, even the roses, even the bus exhaust. The mind circles back like a record spinning, a little molten, a little wobbly, a record shiny as your black hair, a record player crackling and stuttering over a scratch, an urge to ask forgiveness, even though it's dark now, and you've already forgiven me. From the Southern Review. Ode to Hairheads, Hairdos, Airheads, Hairdos, Trains to and from Paris. Barbara Hamby. For an hour on the train from Beauvais to Paris, nor I'm entertained by the conversation of three American girls about their appointment the next day with a hairdresser, and if there is a subtext to this talk, I'm missing it. Though little else will bangs that make them look too dykey, and layers. Sometimes they hang like the fur of a shaggy dog. Streaks. What about blonde streaks? Whore. They scream, laughing like a coven of wild monkeys. And after they have exhausted the present tense, they go on to the remembrance of hairdos past, the high school proms, botched perms, late-night drunken cuts. The Loch Ness monster would be lost in their brains as in a vast starless sea. But they're happy, will marry and overpopulate the earth, which you can't say about many poets. I think a few weeks later, taking the 84 bus to the hairdresser, where I'll spend 3 long hours and leave with one of the best cuts of my life from Guy, who has a scar on his right cheek and is Israeli. But before that, I pass a hotel with a plaque. Attilia Joseph, great Hungarian poet, black moods and penniless, lived there 10 years before he threw himself under a train in Budapest. If we knew what the years held, would we alter our choices, take the train at 3:20 instead of noon, walk in the rain instead of taking the metro? The time travel films I adore speak to this very question, overwhelmed. By disease and war, The future sends Bruce Willis back to stop a madman. I could be waiting by the track as Joseph arrives in Paris, not with love but money, which seemed to be the missing ingredient, the honey he needed to sweeten his tea. Most days I take the B line instead of the RER, and one of the stops is Drancy, the way station for Jews rounded up by the Nazis, before being sent in trains to the camps. But we can't see those black and white figures in the Technicolor, present like ghosts, reminding us with their pallor how dearly our circus of reds and golds has been purchased, and how at instant all those colors could be erased. From the Indiana Review.